See that? See that? What is that? Jesus on a skateboard? What is that? You see all kind of things down here in Austin. People punching the air. We're at Lady Bird Bridge, by the way. What was that? Get it. Looked like Jesus on a skateboard to me. He walks on water. He could be getting Jesus surf. Anyway, we're hanging out at Lady Bird Bridge in Austin, Texas. What was that? You think? It doesn't matter. We'll leave it alone. Thanks for watching the Maurice Brown Show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Show. And today we have a very special guest. And it's not Jesus on a skateboard right now. Right now, we have an author who's going to talk to us about her recent gold winner nonfiction book, Meant to Be. And she reveals the unforgettable story, true story of her parents, John and Sonja Franken, who are two unlikely survivors of World War II. Her father, John, a young Dutch naval recruit in the Dutch East Indies, is captured at sea by the Japanese and must fight for his life as a prisoner of war. Sonja, who would be his wife later on, is taken by the Nazis from her home in the Netherlands to endure the horrors of Auschwitz and a series of other Holocaust concentration camps. Remarkably, John survives the Nagasaki atomic bomb, and miraculously, Sonja escapes death in the gas chambers on 3 separate occasions after suffering endless tests of faith and fortitude at the hands of their brutal captors. The war ends, and the two are brought together in the most extraordinary of circumstances to rebuild their lives and produce this wonderful person, author. Welcome to the show, Roslyn Franken. Hello, Roslyn. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me here, Maurice. I really appreciate it.
Well, it is an honor to have you here. You have a most incredible story, and you have transferred that story into a book, which I highly recommend our listeners to go out and buy, and we'll talk about that later. But what an incredible story. We had a chance to meet at the International Christian Film Festival in Orlando, Florida, and we chopped it up a little bit, and I just wanted to have you back on this platform so we can talk about it and maybe a few other things. Let's start with the book Meant to Be. Tell us about it.
Well, Meant to Be, the subtitle is A True Story of Might, Miracles, and Triumph of the Human Spirit. And I wrote the book because I wanted to share with the world my parents' incredible story of human strength. So many times, and with everything going on in the world today, we often don't realize how much strength we have within us. And I wrote the story for 2 reasons. One, to share about what my parents went through in terms of discrimination and hate and evil, what human beings are capable of doing to other human beings, and how we have to learn from the past in order to make today and our future,
Yes.
make the world a better place, right? So there's lots of lessons to learn in that respect of how we can learn to treat one another a little better. I think it's about time we learn that. But also, it's about my parents' ability to exercise what I call the power of choice, that with all the pain and loss and suffering and starvation and malnutrition and the horrific things they went through, my parents could have chosen to be bitter for the rest of their lives, but they always chose to be better and not bitter. And I think there's a huge lesson to be learned from them in how we approach our own hardships in today's world. So
I would totally agree with you, and we as human beings, we honestly don't know what the great things that we're capable of. You look at the horrible things that we're capable of. I think that's duly noted
Yeah.
and well known, and that was put on display with what your parents and many Jews had to experience during the Holocaust period. But more than that, the great things that we can do, the
Mhm.
wonderful acts of good that we can perform, utterly amazing. And we don't know how capable we are of that. And your parents definitely showed examples of what the human spirit can overcome and accomplish. I want to ask you about your mother, Sonja, because she avoided the gas chamber 3 times. How was she able to avoid that horrible experience?
Well, it was 3 times that she actually faced death in the gas chambers, and 3 times, Maurice, 3 times there was either a malfunction in the gas supply, or they had gassed so many people through that day they had run out of gas. And to me, that is a miracle. 3 times miracles that my mother would say was meant to be. It was not her time, if you want to say it that way. Um, these were 3 separate occasions, 3 different places, and each time it was just, she would not call it luck. My parents did not believe in just random luck or coincidence. They would say it was meant to be. That's why the name of the book is Meant to Be, because I heard that growing up my whole life, that things happen for a reason, and for whatever reason it was meant to be that they should survive, and meant to be that I'm here to tell their story.
Yeah, there's a reason for everything, Rosalind. I don't believe in randomness and just meaningless occurrences in life. There's a reason, and God is behind all of it. He knows exactly what He's doing. We have no idea what's going on. We have to trust the fact that God is working in our best interest, and we can't explain it all. One day, Rosalind, we will find out. It will be
Yeah.
very clear to us, and we'll see. At the present time, it has not arrived, but it's coming. We met once again at ICFF, the International Christian Film Festival, and it's a wonderful event. It's kind of like the Christian Oscars they hold down in Orlando, Florida every year. How did you become associated with ICFF?
I was very fortunate that a really good friend of mine, a mutual friend of ours, Barry also Brook, who is, I'd say, one of my biggest fans. He loves my book. He loves promoting my book and my messages, my positive messages, and I'm very grateful for him, because he knows that my book is destined to be a movie, for sure. I mean, anybody who reads the book, I mean, you could see the movie scenes in your head. There's just incredible, powerful movie moments in the story. So he said, Roz, you got to be here. You got to be at this event. The people you're
Yeah.
going to meet, the experiences you're going to have. And hey, I wouldn't be talking to you right now if I didn't go to the festival. So it is through Barry, who I believe is meant to be in my life as a good friend, and his wife Laura too, of course.
Yes, Barry. Barry also Brook, who is the creator of the Taken Network, is a good friend of mine, and Barry and I talk very often. I'm glad that he convinced you, persuaded you to be a part of the festival. You were a great addition to the festival, and again, we would not be talking if it were not for Barry. Great book that you've written, Meant to Be. As a writer, as an author, I'm sure there are a lot of experiences that you go through. Like you, I'm an entertainer on the stage in comedy, but it could be acting, it could be producing, screenwriting, whatever. There are moments where it's just like, wow, this is really challenging. There's a moment, there's an experience that kind of like, whether the light comes on or it just changes everything for the better. What is it for you as an author that you've experienced that's made you better at what you do?
Um, I think the biggest thing for me is believing in myself. I think that for authors, you have to believe in yourself. You have to have the confidence and the trust in your own ability to see the project through. So for
Yeah.
me, for me, I think that was the biggest thing. When I wrote my book, I had a number of people, editors, who wanted to edit my book and charge me a lot of money to edit my book.
Yeah.
And they would show me samples. Here, give me a couple of pages and I'll show you what I could do. And then they did that. And I read it and I said, you know what? That's not my voice anymore. And for me, I wanted my book to be in my voice. And to me, the biggest compliment is when people read my book, and especially if it's someone who knows me, they say, "Oh my gosh, I can hear your voice in my head." And that's the
Yeah.
biggest compliment. I thought, you know what? If there's a grammatical error, or um, it's, I don't win a literary Nobel Prize, although my book did win an award with, gold award. It's very exciting because I had to believe in myself and draw the line in the sand and said, no, I'm going to write this. I want this in my voice. And that was a big turning point, to just say, to trust my own abilities. That was big.
Well, yeah, and you gotta believe in yourself. At the end of the day, it's called faith, believing that you can
Yeah.
get it done. I was I started writing a book about 2 years ago, and I ran into something that's a familiar problem with writers, and it's called writer's block. And mine's been 2 years. How do you fight through that issue when you get to that point where you just come to a standstill?
Um, I think it's okay to, to have those moments where maybe it doesn't flow as easily or freely, and to
Yeah,
just sort of maybe just let it go for a bit and not beat yourself up for it. But you got to keep at it, because I know too many people, oh, I started writing this book 10 years ago, or oh, I wrote a couple of chapters, and screen which just went black, sorry. And then they let it go. You can't
yeah.
let it go. You have to just keep trying. At some moment, that inspiration comes, and then, my God, I just start writing. That's my thing. If I get writer's block, I'll just write anything, whatever comes to mind, and then something just comes out of it, and it starts to flow again. And but yes, there are those moments where you're looking like, okay, now what? You know? So yeah, you just have to persevere through it. You just don't let it go. Again, so many people, years they've let their book go, and then their story never gets told.
And it never gets told, and I have to get back on the horse and get back after it again. Of course, I'm just juggling so many different things, but it's similar to stand-up comedy and writing comedy, and
Mm-hmm.
just bleeding ideas out, as get as much gold out of an idea as you can. And it's all relative, and you just have to decide on whether or not this is something that is huge to you. I mean, obviously, writing is something that I want to do. I have an idea, and I want to get it out there. Like you said, I mean, your story's never going to be told if you don't fight through that and get it, get it out. So I got to get back on that horse. Um, and we're talking about the difficulties of fighting through that writer's block, or what is that experience that's made you better. But sometimes you can run into a real crossroads experience where you're like, you know what? I don't know if I want to keep doing this, or I don't know if I even want to finish this book. Any experience like that ever crossed your mind?
No,
Okay.
nope, it never crossed my mind. I'm that type of person. I've always been this way. When I get something in my head and I want to do it, I want to persevere. And it's not about proving something to anybody else other than myself, to
Yeah.
say, I'm going to make this happen. I believe there's two kinds of people in this world. That they're the people I call the wish eyes, who are like,
Yeah.
oh, I wish I could write that book I've always wanted to write. Oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. And then there's the other kind of people, who I call the watch me's, who say,
Yeah.
you know what, I'm going to do this. You just watch me. So I always try to be that watch me kind of person, because it's too easy. It's too easy to, oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. You can do it. You can. And you got to say, just watch me. I'm going to do it.
I heard a statement made a few years ago, which I thought was mind-boggling and extremely interesting to contemplate and meditate upon, and that's this: the people that actually become stars in whatever their craft may be aren't the most talented. It's the most talented that usually quit. And what that says to me is it's all about intestinal fortitude.
Mm,
The
yeah.
real that's the real talent. The faith, the perseverance. That's what makes you great. Anybody can be good. There's a lot of good people out there at a lot of different things. They're really good, and they're on the couch. They're
Yeah.
those people that you just described as I wish I could have
Yep.
type. And at the end of the day, it comes down to faith and belief in yourself. I'm going to do it. I've made up my mind. It's just that ultimate will, Roslyn, to
Yes.
just keep fighting. The same fighting spirit that your parents showed and meant to be.
Exactly. And that's, I think I inherited that gene, and I think I have to do my parents justice by upholding that level of perseverance that they exemplified for me growing up. I always saw how they didn't give up. They persevered. They lived a positive and meaningful life. And after everything they went through, I think that is incredible that they didn't just sit back and do nothing, you know? I give
Well,
them such credit.
it says that we are all fully capable of greatness, Roslyn. Every human being that God created, he set the greatness monitor when he created us. Every single human being. And then we have to decide whether or not we want to access that power because it's already there.
Well put. Well put.
It's already there. So, um, Meant to Be, author Roslyn Franken of the book Meant to Be. Uh, how can fans, our listeners out there, get a copy of your book?
Well, it's available on Amazon and all the usual online retailers, or of course, they can order it from my website. The only difference, of course, if they order from my website and if they email me or somehow contact me if they want it personally autographed, then I can do so, but can't do that by Amazon. But
Yes.
that easiest way is probably by Amazon, of course.
Okay, sounds good. And we've been talking about the difficulties of writing and so forth. I want to ask you this though, before I go to my next question. What is the future of Meant to Be? Can we expect to see it on the big screen?
Oh, absolutely. I am working really hard to bring this book to the screen. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. It takes a lot of time and patience and perseverance to and money, of course,
Yes.
and making the right connections and contacts, surrounding yourself with the right people. So I definitely, it's just a matter of time, and I will let you know. How's that? I'll keep you posted. It
Please
will
keep
be.
me posted. Please keep me
Yeah.
posted because I'll be in line to get a ticket to see that. This is a great story. I'd love to see that story put on the big screen.
Right.
Amazing, utterly
Right.
amazing.
Here's how I like to say the progression of Meant to Be. So first I took my parents' story and I put it on the page. Then I took it from the page to the stage because I do this incredible multimedia, powerful presentation where I share some highlights from the story and combine it with some really important inspirational messages that are relevant, that take their story and make it relevant for what's happening in the world today. So I speak to all kinds of groups, all ages, cultures, backgrounds, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
And then I took it from taking it from the stage to the screen. So that's the evolution of Meant to Be.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely
Yeah.
awesome. You've kind of answered this question already, and all of the things that you've said, but I'll throw it out anyway. Any advice to young writers out there that are thinking about writing a book or just thinking about becoming an author?
You know, it's so easy today with self-publishing. There's no reason to not get your story out there. Just believe in yourself and just do it. Don't worry about trying to be perfect and you know, we're our own worst critics. Just do it. And I have a whole author coaching program as well. If people go to my website, roslynfranken.com, they could learn about my presentations, about my author coaching program and the book, of course. So just do it. I mean, I wrote another book too. Meant to Be is actually my second book. My first book is the A-List, 9 Guiding Principles for Healthy Eating and Positive Living, which is more of a self-help book. So whether an aspiring author wants to write something that is more self-help, or it's a fiction story, whatever it is, just do it. Stop being the wish eye, be the watch me.
I love it. There's a shoe out there with a swoosh mark on it that says the very same thing. Just do it. I love it. Um, Roslyn, thank you so much for being on the show, and good to see you again after meeting you in Orlando. And folks, if you're coming in on the end of this interview and you're like, man, I missed it. No, you actually didn't, because you can watch the replay on Facebook or YouTube, or you can listen to it on my Spotify platform, where all major podcasts are heard. The Maurice Brown Show, Google Podcasts, Radiocast, Pocket Cast, Amazon Music, Audible, you name it. We are there talking with Roslyn Franken, author of Meant to Be, on the Maurice Brown Show. Thank you once again, Roslyn. God bless you and your family. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. And God bless you as well, Maurice.
Amen. Thank you.